Hi, and welcome to show number 12 of the Cafecito Travel Talks, a podcast where people share travel stories and adventures. My name is Tony Lloyd, and I'm your host. First of all, I'd like to thank all the people who have been following us so far in our other 12 episodes. And for the new people, I'd like to welcome you and hope you subscribe to the show. Also, take a look at our Facebook page where we have written travel stories. And please, if you're someone who likes to write, we're still looking for people to submit some more stories. If you have any questions or comments, please send us an email at elcafecitotraveltalks@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from you. Today's show was previously recorded here at the El Cafecito in Cuenca, Ecuador, where I sit down with Lotte on her 1-year anniversary of travel. She talks about her life-changing experience that took her up Mount Kilimanjaro and then on her journey to see the rest of the world. So please get yourself a cup of tea or coffee and enjoy the show.
Hi everyone, my name is Lotte Heeman. I'm from Holland.
Okay. Lotte, the reason I asked to sit down and talk with you today is because the other day we were having dinner together with some of the guests here at the hostel. In that conversation, we were talking about different reasons why we each decided to make our journeys and to travel and so forth. And I thought you had a very interesting story, and I'd like you to share it today with the audience. The question was asked at the table was something that have changed in our life that has caused big shift. Your answer to that question was what provokes this interview today. So if you remember the answer to that question, we could start off from there, and then we'll go.
Yeah, I do remember, since it was kind of life-changing, so...
That's a very good point.
Actually, the answer was two-phase. Answer. So it started off with me working on my lifestyle. I needed to make some changes. I didn't have a really healthy lifestyle, and I ended up having a way better lifestyle in sense of exercise and sleeping, but also eating, and I lost 30 kilos.
Wow, okay.
And then to prove a point, I guess, I wanted to climb Kilimanjaro, because when traveling, I've always traveled a lot, but I always wanted to do these things, these challenging things, and I never felt I could because I was so much overweight. So having lost all that weight, I thought, okay, I'm gonna do it, and I did. And while climbing Kilimanjaro, especially the summit night, which is the hardest part, I had this feeling of, I don't know, I just felt invincible, basically. I think that triggered for me, I think it was the basis of gaining a lot of self-confidence. I mean, I wasn't miserable before, but I wasn't quite in my strength fully. So once I did that, I figured, well, I can do anything. I felt very strong, and I think that triggered the next phase for me, which was thinking about my career and my life in Holland, what was going to be next for me. I knew I wasn't going to reach my pension age at this same job I was doing.
And what sort of job was that?
I was a theater producer in Amsterdam. I loved that job, and I still did at that time, but I did feel it was coming to an end somehow. I was starting to get restless. I think I felt maybe I had reached the more or less ceiling of my development there with the people I was working with. And, after you do that same job for 9 years, it's a long time. At the same time, I was being more conscious about our Western society, the way we live, the pace of life, and I just felt something needed to change. I just didn't know what to start. So I thought of different, changing my living situation or moving somewhere else or changing my job, until one day I just thought, why don't I just travel?
Okay.
I don't have to quit my job for another job. I can just quit it and start traveling. And once I realized, I got a little nervous because I innately knew that it was a very good thing to do.
Okay. So yesterday was your birthday. You had also mentioned to me that you started traveling a day after your birthday.
Yes.
So this is your 1-year anniversary of traveling.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
As you said, you climbed Kilimanjaro. That was the thing that gave you the courage to say, okay, now I could do this. But there's some people that might be listening to us that's saying, oh my gosh, she did that, and how could I do this? And then I also want, people to know that, okay, yes, you did climb Kilimanjaro, but it's not like you became one of these super marathon.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
No.
You're still a very average person.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't mean that in a bad way.
I know.
I just because if somebody might be listening to us and they're thinking, oh, well, she climbed Kilimanjaro. Maybe she's fighting alligators now, and
or marathon runner. No,
exactly.
No, by no means. I'm in that sense. I am very average. One of those average travelers who likes to hike, but I don't do any, in my opinion, crazy stuff. And it didn't trigger for me wanting to climb every mountain in the world. It was just the Kilimanjaro. I thought that was enough for.
Okay.
And in fact, I think basically anybody could climb Kilimanjaro. If you can walk up and down the street to the supermarket, then you should be able to.
So how did you prepare to do that? Did you know someone who had done it before?
Yeah, I met someone through a friend, and she'd climbed Kilimanjaro, and actually she was in great physical shape. So when I started talking about her, I was very interested to hear her talk, because it sounds like this amazing adventure. But all the while she was talking, of course I thought, well, with your fitness, of course you can do it. But during our talk, she mentioned a couple things from which I gathered, like, oh, but that doesn't sound. So then I ended up asking her, so the other people in the group, what were they like, or were they physically in the same shape as you? And she said, oh no, there was this one guy, he only ate pizza. And then I started thinking, oh, well, I didn't eat pizza all the time, but I could somewhat.
If he could eat pizza, I could do it.
Yeah, that's the thing that crossed my mind. And there was another friend at the time, and she's a friend that I value very much. So I just looked over at her and said, Paulina, how about climbing Kilimanjaro together? And she just looked up from her phone and she says, okay. And then I got really nervous. I did prepare quite intensely because I was very nervous I wouldn't be able to do it, because like I said, I wanted to prove a point. So for me, there was a lot at stake. Mentally, mostly. And so I just went to the gym a lot. I did used to walk a lot at that time already, but Holland is flat as a pancake. So, and obviously Kilimanjaro is not. So I exercised a lot on the treadmill, but that was mostly it.
How did the journey go? You got to the mountain, you had day one. Is it a 2-day process?
Oh no, it's 7 days.
Oh, 7 days?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I was nervous.
Okay.
So when we started off, it was very hot. You start, I'm not sure, I don't remember at what altitude exactly, but walking in the sun with your t-shirt and sweating, and walking through forest areas, and it was very interesting to see all those different levels of vegetation and different all the changes in scenery. But anyway, that first day it was okay, apart from being hot and sweaty. I thought, okay, this is okay. And then I got a little suspicious because I thought,
it's supposed to be more challenging.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be really hard. And then the second day came around, and it was also just nice walking. It's not a technical climb. You don't need any technical preparation. You just need to put your one foot in front of the other. That's basically it. Okay. And drink a lot, and etc. But so after that second day, I thought, well, maybe I will be able to do this, and I gained a little bit trust in it would just be maybe the duration of the hike, and obviously the altitude at some point will kick in. Yeah. And it did. Yeah, I those first few days were relatively easy, actually. Okay. Yeah.
And I'm assuming you were staying in camps along the way.
Yes, in tents.
In different tents. And they have porters with you?
Yes,
or you were...
yes. I was humbled and impressed. It was just the two of us, my friend and me. There were 2 guides, there was 1 cook, and then the rest of them were porters, and
Okay. Was there a moment where you're like, what am I doing on this mountain?
Oh, yes.
What am I...
On the summit night, you start walking around midnight in order to reach, hopefully, the summit around 8 a.m.
Is there snow on the top of that mountain?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's ice. Well, there's not snow everywhere. I think depending on the season. Okay. But there was ice.
Okay. Because usually what happens in most mountains when you have ice or snow, the reason you do it so early so that you don't want to be when the ice is melted and the sun comes up. But anyhow, so you were on this
I think the biggest reason for them is because we all love our sunrises and sunsets, right? Okay. So while you climb towards the summit, at some point you are either at the summit at sunrise or close to the summit. And I think between sunrise, which I think was 1 hour before my summit time, and that actually reaching the summit, I had multiple thoughts of why did I want to do this? What's the point really? What is this thing with humans that we want to go to a highest, farthest, deepest place? Or I don't know. It was just a little bit strange how how are we wired that we want to do these things. But it never. I actually felt very, very strong, even though I was my walking pace in the last hour, I think, was 0.2 kilometers per hour.
Okay, just doing it very slowly, but
very
slowly but surely.
Yeah, I don't think I could have gone a lot quicker. It was just the altitude gets to you, and I was extremely tired by then. But yeah, it was just very estranging. Is that a word?
We'll use it. I
Okay.
think. I'm not sure if it's a word, but we'll use it. I think it could be understood.
I felt very strong because I think the turning point for me was the sunrise. When I saw the sun actually climbing above the clouds, because by that time you're well above the clouds, so it had already risen downstairs, so to speak. Okay. And then it was rising above the clouds where we were. And I don't know, there was just some kind of wow moment, and I felt very emotional. I thought, oh my, I think I'm going to make it, you know.
Okay.
So yeah, that kept me going.
Okay. You did the mountain, you came down off the mountain, you decided, okay, I need to create a new challenge, and you decided you want to travel. How was your preparation for that? How was the support of your family, friends? Did you find, how was that part of the preparation?
Actually, I expected more people, if any people, to be a little bit skeptical or maybe worried. But actually, I think 98% of the people in my environment, they were thrilled for me. And they most of them said, "Oh, I can see you do that. You can so do that, and it's really something you should do." And we understand. And also my parents, even though I realized once I made that decision, we're very close. So, oh God, they're gonna, I'm going to be very far away from them for probably a long time. But even still, their first reaction was, wow, what a great plan. Okay, good for you.
Those last minutes or those last moments before you got on the plane, how were you? Were you excited? Were you nervous?
Oh, I was in tears.
Oh, you were in tears. Okay.
Big time, yeah. My parents and my sister and her two daughters, my two nieces, we're extremely close, all of us, and they came with me to Schiphol.
Okay, to the airport.
Yeah, to see me off, and we were all in tears, but so much love and so much support, and of course, because and I know this feeling from previous travels. Almost every time I would go on a longer trip, which by the way was never longer than 6 weeks at a time, usually around 4 weeks.
In those cases, we usually call that more vacation versus traveling.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. And those times, I also had that same feeling that I then had in tenfold, like, oh, geez, why did I want to do this? Because I have a really nice house in Amsterdam, and it's a nice city. Why do I have to go places where I really don't have a clue what I'll run into and who I'll meet, and the language and the food and the places? And not so much being very worried that wasn't going to be okay. But just, I don't know, some kind of anxiety for, like, oh God, where I'm going off to. And that's definitely what happened to me again on this trip, because it was going to be for an indefinite amount of time. So once I'm on the plane, once I get those, those emotions out of my system of saying goodbye to my loved ones, and then I don't know, my mind goes towards where I'm going, and I usually start reading in my Lonely Planet guide, and I'll just get excited and think, okay, yay,
this is where I'm going.
I'm doing it.
Okay. Yeah. How do you see yourself traveling differently now that you're not a 20-year-old anymore? You're not in your 20s.
Yes, very different.
And for example, somebody who's out there that's prepared and they're thinking of traveling, like, let's talk about some of the things for them, because people are like, oh yeah, you could do that when you're 20, but no. I'm too old now. I can't stay in a dormitory. I can't do this, and people come up with these reasons because of their age.
Well, actually, it's nice that you mentioned dormitories, because going on this trip, I more or less assumed that I would have, I thought I would be done with the dormitory thing. Being 43 now, or 42 when I left, because I was initially worried I was going to feel old, especially in Asia, where the backpacker culture is very, very young in some places. And actually, I found that I don't feel old so much. I feel very wise.
Oh, okay. I like that.
So I like that.
Okay.
But yeah, I the first few weeks or maybe months I was on my own a little bit more because I think I needed some personal time to process all the things of the last, I don't know, 10 years and leaving my job and leaving my house and everything. But then gradually I started going to dorms more and booking dorm beds. And I only realized after a while that, like, I guess I'm not over the, feeling comfortable in a dorm between all these young people. And so for me, that's not a problem. And if I do feel like I want to have a bit more privacy, I'll book a private room. I'm quite flexible like that, but I think I do travel differently from when I was a lot younger, and especially because I think I have met me more. How do you say that? I've come to know me better.
Come to know yourself,
yes.
Yeah.
For that reason, I think I need to. I don't have to spend as much energy and time to relate to other people. Like, okay, so where do I fit in, or how do we relate to each other, or in this group, where is my position, or where is my... And now I'm just me, and of course I relate to other people, and of course sometimes you have to find your social
where you fit in the pack.
Yeah, of course, that hasn't changed, but I think way less concerned with how I come across, or things that you are more aware of when you're a lot younger in most cases.
Okay. So where did you go first?
Phnom Penh. The reason Cambodia is because I'd been missing Asia. That last few years I had traveled, I went to different places. I really felt strongly I wanted to go back to Asia, where I had been twice before, and I was very interested to see Cambodia. And I'd already actually booked the plane ticket before I decided to leave my job, because it was going to be my summer holiday for a month. Then things happened and evolved quite rapidly, and I decided, let's just quit the job. And instead of taking the return flight, I just stayed in Cambodia. And what struck me about Cambodia and the way I was traveling with no end date, I could decide on the spot if I wanted to stay a lot longer in one place. And I was used to doing that, but it would always be, the margin would be a couple days more. And now the margin was weeks or whatever, amount of time. So I think I started off just, being a tourist and enjoying my holiday. But of course, after a while, you realize, okay, this would normally be the time where I would return home. But I didn't. So
that's a very interesting thing you just said, because I think a lot of people who do travel are used to have taken holidays at different times. And there's like that 2-week holiday, or maybe we're up some to a month. Mm-hmm. And then there's that day that you're like, oh, I'm not going home. So let's talk about that a little bit.
I remember it was just strange. And because normally you're on some kind of schedule, even if you haven't planned anything, or I usually don't book hostels or things in advance. I just have maybe a rough idea of where I want to go. But then at that point, you try to fit in what you think you want to fit in that amount of time. And then I found that, there is no amount of time I have to fit things in. So I was a little bit thrown by that because, first of all, I realized I could lower my pace because, I have all the time in the world, but coming from Amsterdam with, the high-paced life and all the preparations for leaving, and I was still, on quite a high pace, I guess you'd say. And I found after a while, okay, I can, really unwind and just sink into the travel vibe. Being able to go all these places where people would normally say to you, like, if you have time, maybe go to this little village or to... And then, if you're on a schedule for 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, you could maybe do 1 or 2 of those, but probably not all of them. Mm-hmm. And now I could. So I did. I guess you could call them a little bit off the beaten track. And there were no means...
After Asia, how did you make it over to South America?
I always wanted to go to Ecuador since I visited Peru and Bolivia 10 years ago. Ecuador was high on my list of countries.
Game tracker. How long have you been in Ecuador now?
I think 1.5 months.
1.5 months. Okay.
Yeah.
This is your 1-year anniversary. What are some of the highlights? What are some of the lowlights? what could you tell them about your year?
For me, apart from visiting all these amazing places and beautiful cultural and nature places, it has brought me way more than I thought, way more than I expected. Even though I was already, open to the idea of, okay, let's see what this trip will bring me for my, I don't know, my ideas about life or my future or whatever. Yeah, I didn't expect it was going to be so much.
Okay.
I had a lot of course, time to think, but also a lot of encounters with people that really enriched me in a way that I didn't expect. So that's a beautiful thing. I think I'm growing.
Longer do you think you're going to travel?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
No, I really don't know. Of course, people ask me this on a regular basis, and I try to think about it, or I try to give a sincere answer in the sense of, okay, how long? So I'll start to think about a period of time, but I just don't know.
Okay.
I really don't. It could be another couple months. It could be 5 years. I don't know.
That's completely fine. So Thank you for that. I don't know if you have any last words for the audience.
I guess if you're considering traveling, but you're just not entirely sure, chances are you'll never be sure. Okay. So just do it.
Just do it.
It's going to be great.
Well, thank you once again. All the best to you.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed this talk.
Thanks for listening in, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. If you're interested in contacting Lotte, her information can be found in our podcast notes. Also, if you have any additional questions or comments for us, please send me an email to elcafecitotraveltalks@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from you. And for the people who have not done so already, I'd like to encourage you to subscribe so that you get all our future shows. I'd like to thank Marshall, our editor, for the work that he's been doing in this show and all our previous shows. I look forward to meeting you here at the El Cafecito in Cuenca, Ecuador, also in our sister location in Quito. All the best, and please stay safe.